Okay, welcome back. So the project I'm working on is, I'm gonna call it a valet key holder, cell phone change type of holder here. I'll give you a chance to see it here. Sides and then back here. So this project, just to be frank, was an absolute struggle bus for me. I wanted to see if I could make my own template out of using plywood. It worked okay. I see why everyone uses acrylic now, but was able to figure out I don't have all the right, I'll say, router bits. I would say probably 99% of my struggles was flat out not having enough router bits, and then the base of my routers just not being wide enough to cover large expanses here. So as I was getting into the middle here, my plastic router or plastic plate wasn't wide enough to support that router bit being out here without tipping. It was a fun little project. Learned a ton from it. Will I be doing something like this again in the future? I think I will. I like these trays. It just looks clean and classy and nice to me. But I think what I'll do in the future is actually invest in some acrylic and have someone with a CNC actually cut these and get it done properly. But for a kind of experiment prototype, I will say I'm happy. But the way this is here, I'll see if I can show you here. And the big spots right here, I just couldn't get these to line up properly anymore as I got deeper and deeper. And that's because I had a really small router bit with a bearing on it, so I had to dip to get down there, where I think if I had a 1/2 inch or full inch with a bearing on top of it, that would be a lot cleaner look in there. So lessons learned. Happy you clicked on the video here. Hope I can kind of show you guys what where my struggles were throughout this whole video. And like always, leave a comment below, likes, dislikes, and follow for more. Thanks, guys. Showing you here the design I have here. That's some 1/4 inch plywood. I was able to draw this up fairly quickly in Adobe Illustrator, a software I'm fairly comfortable with and can get by and through fairly quickly here. One thing I do want to point out is I knew I inevitably was going to take this to the drill press, so you'll see all the circles in the corners have a little dot in the middle there. That is the center of a circle, and wanted to give myself something to target on the drill press. Again, I think the best solution for this in the future would be to have this done on a CNC, but this being a prototype, I wanted to try to use the tools I have in the shop, and there's definitely some refinement I could have done or could do on this template to make it work better in the future. One of the big tools I wish I did have, especially for this project, would be a spindle sander. I think it would really help with the corners as you're transitioning from straights to corners, and just making that look cleaner and getting everything to line up better. Next thing we're looking at here, I've taken what I know is a straight piece of wood here, and I'm trying to clean up those transitions the best I can with a router bit with a bearing on it. If you look on the left there, you can see those corners weren't fully formed, and having the ability to line that up with the router makes life a lot easier. What I'm doing here is I'm setting the depth of how deep I want the router to go. I always like to show this because that's a really nifty tool on the front of the router base that you're seeing there. I'm rotating it, and that allows me to set several depths. I think it's like a 1/4 inch drop from one step to the next, and it does make life a lot easier. I do have a brass bearing in here, so I'm like 1/8 of an inch off the wall of the template here, and can get consistent results that way. Tried painting this template orange, thought it might help with the video, help to kind of see the difference between the wood I'm working on and the template, and frankly it just was a mess. I mean, you could see it all over my wrists there. I probably wouldn't do this in the future here, and frankly the edge of the router base just tore up the paint and constantly peeled it off. But again, Was just trying to see if I could help you guys see something a little bit better visually here. So in a second here, I'm going to start peeling tape. There you go. Start removing tape and kind of show you what it looks like here. And the next steps from this point is just clearing out those cutout areas and then bring it back into the drill press here. And I wanted to use the drill press here to have it just gut out and remove as much material as possible. I'd rather put the stress and strain on this this bit and the drill press versus doing this on the routers, and I thought this would be a lot faster and a lot quicker. And you could see I did some cuts in here already, and actually did those with the router, and just wanted to see how much time it would take to remove all this material with the router, and just it seemed like it would be a silly amount of time. So I went back to the drill press here and wanted to have the drill press remove as much as material as possible. It still took some time, but I feel in the end this was the best route to take here, to just gut out again as much material like. If you look here, you can see I already ran kind of the raceways or the edges with the router, and now I'm going to come in and try to remove the bulk of the material here. But you'll notice here coming up that I'm going from 3 points of contact, or maybe 2 points of contact. I'm getting down to 1. It's getting a little wobbly here. It's starting to make me a little uncomfortable in spots here. And this is where I was talking about earlier in the video, the start of the video, where I wish I would have had a larger sheet of plexiglass or acrylic working as the base for this router. I really think that would have been the best route, and again, just something I now know for the future. It would just be safer. This did cause on some of the corners where I started to get kind of a rollover on the sidewall. I've got like a little notch taken out of it, which I wish in the future would not be there. And I think having a larger, flatter surface for the router to sit on with a bigger piece of plastic would make sure that doesn't happen in the future. But again, this is a prototype, first time doing something like this, and just wanted to see what this looks like, how I might be able to speed up this process in the future. But I think again, the biggest takeaway here is safety, and making sure I'm comfortable doing something like this in the future. And priority number one would be flat out just to get a larger sheet of plastic for the base to sit on, so I can move across that surface of that valet a lot smoother and easier, and not have to worry about tipping it like you're seeing here. Pretty standard here, whether it's these valets or with the cutting boards I do. I always like to round over the edges. Just gives it a nice softer look here, and makes it just look cleaner, to be honest. And for me, it also hides some mistakes. But really like the look and feel of this. The other thing you'll notice here as well is I have 2 speed squares on each side of this, and I have them clamped to the table. I use this throughout the whole process. I really like that. I've not seen that anywhere else, but for me it seemed to hold everything into place and make life a lot easier. So I'm not using one hand to hold the valet and then one with the router. This gave me the ability to have 2 hands available and work comfortably with this. Another thing I did do with it is with those 2 speed squares, I did do some double-sided tape on the underside just to make sure it wasn't moving forward and backwards, and just make myself even more comfortable there, but it worked really well. So this is the final kind of home stretch here. We're getting into sanding here. Sanding with these really tiny areas is really tough. Luckily though, a while back when I really first started to get into woodworking, I purchased a lathe and was doing some pen work, really small stuff like that, and found these sanding pads that are maybe 2-3 inches in diameter, that I can then put into the drill bit like you're seeing here. And this really was nice. I think that's 80 grit sandpaper that's on that pad. And then what's really nice is that pad's actually removable from the drill you saw there, and I can use this foam pad here to help kind of get into some tight corners here, and it really allows me to get to the final finishes that I'm looking at here. If I was ever to take this and get it up for sale, I'd probably get this up to about 220 across the whole surface here. I think I got it up to 120, and just again, just something that's a prototype. I wanted to see how to kind of go through this process, but again, I'm happy with how this came out, and final product here. There are things I wish I would have done differently, and part of the reason I'm sharing some of that knowledge here with you guys. And again, final thing here is just getting down to that final sanding. The other thing I didn't show you is on the underside of this, I did some more, I took a 1/4 inch round over bit and rounded those edges just to soften them up a little bit and make it a little easier for me and my wife to be able to use this and move it around in the future. But yeah, I mean, this is really the project. It was a really nice, what I was hoping would be a really nice quick build, turned into a longer process because of all the the learning, frankly, that had to go on with this. But in the future, I think this is something that's easily done in a quick afternoon project. So we'll plan on doing more of this stuff in the future.